On the 20th of March 2025, Daryl and Jesse began a new mission. To restore to running condition our leichte Feldhaubitze 18,5 auf Fahrgestell Panzerkampfwagen 2 SF, or the Wespe, or Wesp as we've infuriatingly insisted on calling it. Even though someone had previously attempted a restoration on it, the vehicle needed to be fully stripped down, cleaned, repaired, painted and rebuilt. And since it was a running vehicle, there were no shortcuts. All moving parts had to be done perfectly. The engine was shot and missing a lot of components, and the transmission was in a really sorry state.
Something's made a big nest in there. Look at that.
But we replaced the engine with a modern diesel, and Steve stripped and rebuilt every component in the transmission and final drives, preserving nearly every original piece. This will be our last episode on yet another incredible journey. Even after 517 days, there is still a lot of pieces to fit to call this restoration complete. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our grand finale of the Wesp restoration.
Hi, I'm Kurt from Oz Armour and welcome to Workshop Wednesday.
We finally got another pot of Dunkelgelb and got the rest of the base colour down. Now Jess can finally fit the ammo boxes he worked so hard on for the last few weeks.
Alright, so Jess, boxes are done. For the final time, let's see how they work.
Pull it out, lock it down. So these swivel around, they actually hold the shell casing in. Put one in, sits there, swivel it around, the other round. There you go. And then that swivels there. And then this little tabby piece here, we haven't quite repaired them, but they're like a springy bit of steel. It keeps pressure on the actual shell, which is cool. So you can do all 8 rounds and lock them, and you can pivot it around to grab which one you want and then lock it.
How good's that?
Yep. And then when you're ready, push there, across, lock it in, across, lock it in.
And that's that. Man, so it's like 3 weeks of work.
Yep, a little bit more. But I think it was worth it. We're pretty lucky to have at least one original.
Oh, and all the timber that Daryl fixed up.
Yep.
Oh, we've got a couple more to fit now. All right.
We've got these two here.
So this is the one where the rounds go.
Yeah. So we'll fit these now. The lids are already fitted. The other restorers had already done these for us, so we were pretty lucky. But the other part of the box was completely mangled and had to be
It was,
restored.
yeah, I remember
so we'll put these in now.
Nice.
They're heavy.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay. That's a two-hand job. I got it.
These are heavy now. Yeah.
And they just slot it, do they bolt in or anything?
That should just sit there. Yeah. There's a bolt. One here and one here.
I'll show us this U-boot latch.
Yeah.
Was there anything surviving of that one?
So there was one little tiny piece left over that was rusted away and it was completely seized. So I got the shape of it.
And
it just pivots. Yeah, it just copies. It could have been spring loaded, but we're not 100% sure. So when you want to restock the rounds, whenever they just quickly go bang, it holds in place. You can pull them out, push them in, and then lift it up, jump it down again.
Easy.
Just goes in, and sits there, lift it. So you can kind of see it's fixed in place along the top here and fixed on the bottom. We're not 100% certain of this, but see these here?
Yeah.
See how there's a little bit of room, a little bit of wiggle play?
Yeah.
We think there may have been like a leather insert that pushed on to these, or a rubber insert. So
stop the vibrating.
Yeah, we're not 100% certain because there was just nothing surviving.
For the last time, we close.
Go down. So these, because the whole bottom was missing, we're not 100% sure how the top of the round was held in. We think that maybe it was hinged here and the flap came down and sat on here. But again, we didn't have anything to replicate it. And it was one of those things where I'd spent almost a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, working on these ammunition boxes, and we didn't think it was really warranted to spend more time making something that we don't know what it was.
Yeah, just to make it wrong anyway.
Yeah, so that we kept that original piece, that's cool, just to finish them off. And then yeah, these sit in like this, swivel around, and then this actually pulls out. These are the fuel tanks. I've only put like a 60 litre fuel tank in this, which for 2 laps at Armour Fest will be plenty sufficient, 60 litres.
Yeah, well, you'd hope so.
It's more just in case if we ever take this somewhere and we need to do a little bit more driving.
Nice, man. Looking good.
It's come up really good. Really happy with it, both me and Daryl.
To be perfectly honest with you, most of our World War II tanks are pretty empty on the inside, since from the outside, you can't really see anything, obviously. The Wespe, however, gives us an opportunity to really demonstrate just how much stuff is fitted to these vehicles, and also to use up some surplus gear we have in storage. Now, most of this equipment isn't original to this vehicle and may not be 100% accurate for a Wespe, but it may as well be on display rather than sitting on a shelf gathering dust. 80 years ago, there was a man hunched over this part of the vehicle, receiving ranges, bearings, and corrections from a forward half-track mounted observer. He called these out to the crew behind, who would send high explosive rounds to targets up to 10 kilometers away. Now, we don't have the full radio set for this vehicle. Standard procedure was to ensure they were destroyed if the situation looked desperate, but we have original cables, antenna boxes, and racks for the battery and radio. A full set is hard to come by, but if we're lucky enough to source one, we'll be sure to fit it in.
Next up is a little antenna mounting bracket that we've made up. I haven't put a hole in the top here because we don't know what we need until we get the actual fitting that'll go on it. If we get one, we can just unbolt it, do what we need to do, touch up the paint and bolt it back on. And bolt on here, and they're right beside where the spare aerial gets held.
Flares were another essential piece of kit for all Army units, and still are to this day. This flare box was for a more modern NATO vehicle, but amazingly, with only a few modifications, it fits in the correct position and holds the flare rounds that the Germans used in World War II.
This is the box that holds headsets for the radio. Next up is the rack that we've made up to replicate the radio holder.
This is an original mounting cage for the radio set. As you can see, it's sustained heavy damage. Where and how will forever remain a mystery, but it will live a peaceful life from now on here in the museum. Radios need higher voltage than a 1940s battery can supply on its own, and that's where the converter came in. Mounted on this rack was a motor and a generator. The vehicle's battery spun it up and it produced the high voltage the radio needed to work.
What I'm putting on now is a rain shield to cover the radio equipment. Rightio. Looks a lot better than having it all blank. Rightio, what we've got here is a first aid kit. It was a bit ratty on the outside. When you get inside it, it's a beautiful first aid kit. A bit of the stamp up there. What we'll do is we'll get Jason to do a nice red cross on the top.
There were so many old broken welds all over the vehicle, and it was a real mystery working out what they were for. Even down to this final hour, we were still finding and fitting things.
This is just something that's turned up in the last couple of days, and we're actually going to fit it. It's for a direct sight for the gun in the vehicle, and you can see where it would have been mounted. So what we've done is we just put some new tabs on it, primed it up, and it's going to get welded back in the same position. It turned up, so we want to use it.
Now it's time for the business end of the vehicle, the gun cradle and gun. The Wespe carried a slightly shortened version of the 10.5cm LEFH-18, the standard divisional light howitzer of the entire German army, adopted in 1935 and used by every division and artillery battalion, with nearly 12,000 of the original type built.
Got that?
That's good.
This was the German field howitzer, mounted on a Panzer II chassis. It was firing between 6 and 8 105mm 14.8 kilogram high explosive shells per minute, out to about 10.5 kilometers. This gun platform was designed to advance behind the Panzers, stop, fire, and move before counter-battery fire could find it. It was a highly effective mobile gun platform, but it did have its limitations. It didn't carry a lot of ammunition, as you could probably tell from the ammo racks Jess made earlier, and it needed a large support train of ammunition carriers. It was thinly armoured, and while 10 kilometres is solid for divisional fire, it isn't long-range artillery dominance. But the value in the Wespe was in its mobility and reliability.
Forward, back.
These are the saddles for the pivot. Right, we're about ready to fit the traverse. Starts off with a pivot point. It's a little bit hard to get in, so I'll have to use the mallet on it to get it in the right position. It can only go in one way. This cutout here matches this area here, but then it's got to spin all the way around so it can't bounce out. Anything like that. Rightio. Right, just putting a bit of grease on these pivot points. That's in. Got a couple of saddle clamps here that goes on and locks it in. Let's put a little bit of grease on them as well. Oh yeah. That pivots nicely. We've got two pivot points. We've got a brass bush on them, and they locate into this area here, up there, and then the saddle goes across and clamps it in. And then when you wind this handle, it'll give us our traverse. It's roughly in position. I'll use the saddle clamps now to pull it in. Let's see what happens.
The gun barrel is heavy at the wrong end. A lot of weight hangs over the point of balance towards the front, and cranking the elevation by hand over and over again would wear down a gunner fast. So the designers at Alkit gave the gunner a gift, the equilibrator, a sealed cylinder of gas and oil under pressure. This pushes back against the weight of the barrel and takes most of the load out of the operation, enabling a smooth, easy action.
Yep, that's it, I think. The last bit now is part of the sighting mechanism. We don't have the actual optical sight for this weapon, but we've got all the range tables and mounting point for it, so we'll put that on next. We've got this part here now, it's nicely marked, light field howitzer 18. It gets put onto this shaft and there's a couple of locking pins for it. It's good, that's good. This is part of the sighting mechanism. I'm still going to tidy that up, but we want to put it on today to show you here. It goes onto the shaft here, held in with a nut, and then this pivot point here drops into here. There's two locating pins that go in and held in with screws. Just lower this down till the holes line up. Right, these are the little pins that go through and then held in with 3 screws. So let's put a bit of oil on there so we can gently locate. Bit of oil and I'll locate the other one on the other side before I do them up. What we have here is the rear travel lock, and I'll just show you how it works because there's quite a few bits to it. Bring it up into there, bring this one up so it locks in behind, drop that catch down so that can't move now. Now I can wind that in and it'll tighten up against that catch at the back. And then this has got a slightly hexagonal nut here that'll engage down, locks in place. And then we put on the front travel lock as well to lock it all in place. If you've ever wondered what this funny little recess is in the back of the Wesp, it's actually so this gun lock can go back in there and give them more room around the back of the gun.
Over the next day or so, Jess got the Wesp camo on, and it looks brilliant. It's going to be a little while before Jason's free to do the unit markings, but so far so good. Unfortunately, before we could take it out for its maiden voyage around the track, we hit a little snag.
After doing a couple of test drives, we noticed that one of the rubber rims is starting to come off the wheel itself. The rubber tyre is meant to be bonded to this band here, and then it's press fitted onto the actual rim. So what's happened over the years, rust has got in between, swelled up and broken the seal. Before we can even take it for another test drive, we're going to have to remove this wheel and fit a new one. We'll get this cleaned up and get it rebanded when we send a heap of other tyres down to get done. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. This part of the dog's bone goes into the track, like that. And when we reverse the vehicle back, that catches on the swing arm. The pressure on the track will lift the swing arm up enough to clear the track horns so we can pull the tyre off. This is exactly 1 Daryl wide.
Don't let it get bigger again,
Well, that sounded and looked incredibly dodgy, but it worked.
You might actually need a screwdriver to break the seal on this. Yummo.
Rightio. Ready? Straight up. All the way around.
We've got plenty of wheels, but we're actually a little bit light on bearings, so we're going to have to reuse these ones.
I'll pull that up. That's right. Slide that out of the way.
The outside's on the bottom.
Yep.
I know it looks rough, but there's plenty on there. Right, yeah. All good? Yep. You can see where we are. Can you go give me the long nose pliers? Yep. Please, mate? Alright, that'll do. I want to get it down off this as quick as possible.
Yeah,
so.
righto.
Now there's just one last detail before we take her out on her maiden voyage.
What we have here are original Armour glass vision blocks. This one's in very good condition. It's still visible to see through quite clearly, and the other one is usable. Because when we're driving this, the vision on the right hand side is obscured a bit, so we're going to put the really good vision block on the right hand side. They all good?
You and Curtis good? Ready? Yeah, when you're ready.
Alright.
Restoration is special, but this one hits different. The level of detail the boys have gone to, I believe, has exceeded any other restoration they've done. If you've watched this series all the way through, then you know how hard the boys have worked in the last 18 months to get this vehicle in action. And what a vehicle. Suspension, wheels, cooling, engine, transmission, final drives, along with all the other details that people will hardly see, stripped back, cleaned, restored, and perfectly refitted. And now to see the Wespe finally loose in the wild, for once I think I'm about lost for words. I'd like to extend a very special thanks to Daryl, Jesse and Steve for their spectacular work in preserving this fascinating vehicle for the enjoyment of Oz Armour Fest punters, and of course for you watching wherever you are. If you've come this far with us, please send the boys your best wishes and make sure you subscribe to see what project we move on to next. It's Oz Armour Fest next weekend, so if you haven't got your tickets, now is the time. The link is in the description. We'll be doing a final video on the Wespe and what we believe is its history in the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for one final video on this project. But that's all we have time for today. Join us next time for your weekly tank restoration fix. So until then, I'm Kurt from Oz Armour, and I'll see you on the next one.